The Prince de Neuchatel. For the longest time, I called this particular ship the Prince de Neufchatel, which would be the German pronunciation of Neufchatel. Why in the world this ship is named after a town in France that makes cream cheese, I have absolutely no idea. But she was a very successful privateer for the American side during the War of 1812. Now, privateering is a very interesting concept in that during the 17 and 1800s, a government at war with another country would grant what were called letters of marque to a private citizen or a company that owned a vessel such as the Prince de Neuchatel that could then go out and legitimately become a pirate and raid the merchant vessels of the opposing country. These ships were attacked very often without a great deal of bloodshed, because the merchantmen generally were not armed well enough to withstand the attack by a ship such as this. The ship was then taken over by the privateer, a crew put aboard it, and the entire vessel was sailed off to a neutral port or to a home port where the goods were sold off to the profit of the ship owners. Not the ship owners that owned the merchant ship, but the ship owners who owned the privateer. When the privateer would set sail initially on a voyage, she carried an extremely large crew. This is because when a ship was captured, a partial crew from the privateer was put on board the captured vessel to sail her to wherever they were going to take her to sell her and get rid of the merchant. The Prince de Neuchatel was an extremely fast sailor, and if you look at her rig, you'll see there is tremendous sail area that she could carry. She could outrun just about anything that would ever chase her. In fact, the only reason she was ever caught was while running from 3 British frigates. She was carrying just a little bit too much sail and lost her topmasts and basically came dead in the water. Consequently, she was captured and was going to be taken into the British Navy. She was sent back to England, where she went into dry dock and her lines were taken. In other words, a drawing was made of exactly how the hull was designed and shaped. This became the shape of many of the clipper ships that would follow in about 50 to 100 years. But as the Prince de Neuchatel was leaving the dockyard, she broke her back on the gate of the dry dock and consequently would never be taken into the British service. She fought the British in every way she could down to her dying day. This particular model was made from a French kit. The hull and the accoutrements on it were rather good. Unfortunately, the rigging plans were absolutely horrible in that about half of the rigging was omitted from the design on the plans. Through a great deal of research and knowing how these ships were rigged, I was able to put together a reasonably accurate rig that shows how she would have been rigged at this particular period of time, although I did not include the sails.